Hey, how are you guys? What the fuck was that? What's up, guys? Tone Mateos here, and yeah, I want to talk to you about the topic of women. I've been living in Europe for the last 2 months of my life. Before that, I had been in America for the last 10 years of my life. Before that, I lived in Germany just like I do now. But I was 14 years old, and I'm 25 years old now. So, I want to give you guys my perspective on the culture change in terms of women, how they act, how I feel about them, in terms of American women and European women, German women, to be specific, because I live in Berlin now. But there's so many women here, so it's not really just German women, it's really just European women. Because if I'm being honest, they are so vastly different than American women. So I just want to speak on, firstly, my experience with American women and, kind of what I've been used to the last 10 years of my life. I would start with just telling you how dealing with American women and being around them has made me less receptive towards getting to know women. That's how I would put it with, my experience with American women. And what I mean by that is, I don't know if this is just because I was born in Germany and I was raised here until, 14 years old, that I have a different perspective on American women. But when I think of American women, the first thing that comes to my mind is superficial. Now, I'm not going to try and be harsh with my words. I'm just going to try and give you a bit of an understanding of where I'm coming from with my perspective. When I mean superficial, I just mean that there really isn't much of a personality that really comes through. The biggest thing I've noticed now living in Berlin in Europe for the last 2 months is that the women just have a different shine to them. It's a different look in their eyes that was very, very rare for me to find in America. Like, let's just say I would go on 10 dates in America. 1 out of those 10 women I would meet, I would actually want to see again. I would actually find something within them that makes me like, wow, this is a really nice, cool, genuine person. And we could have a nice, valuable conversation besides just, I grew up in this nice house, this and that. That was a big theme. I would go on many dates with women and I would hear the same story 10 times. And I'm not trying to knock women, American women, in my experience with them, as them being all similar. But when you hear the same stories, the same kind of life, the same monotone outlook, I would describe it as, it just doesn't interest you much or give you anything to hang on to really be attracted to their personality. Because sure, I will admit American women are beautiful. There are so many beautiful women in America. But for me personally, all I can do with a beautiful woman is sleep with them. But it gets to a point where you would also like to make genuine connections, whether to date or just to have someone to talk to, a friend. I get along with women very well to where I can be friends with them and we can treat each other like just two humans. And so with my experience in America being that there's not much radiation, it's just a look in a woman's eyes. And instead of just telling you why I don't think American women are so, fascinating to me, I want to actually try and understand it rather than just critique it. And when I think about it, my number one reason as to why the American women and European women are so different is because of the culture. Now, me personally, growing up in Europe, Germany, it is such a different life. Let me put into perspective. I grow up, we have family dinner, we cook all the time, we go for bicycle rides, we go to the park, we just do a lot of interactive things that make you kind of more social It brings out your personality. You get to experience a lot as a child. And living in America the past 10 years and being around the people and families and friends, you see how they live. And they live a very gray kind of life, is how I feel. They don't have family dinners very often. They don't prioritize healthy meals. They don't prioritize conversating, having a sit down with their family, their friends, and just having a real conversation. They live more of a fast-paced life where they don't value much. You eat dinner and you watch TV. You don't conversate. You microwave your food. You don't have the time. You don't have the energy. You don't want to cook and put love into the food. And, instead of, being surrounded by so much beautiful nature like in Europe, say you live in Florida, where are you going to go? What are you going to do? Besides the beach, there's nothing to do, so you will be on your phone or playing video games instead of socializing. And early on in your life, if you don't have those experiences, it just shapes you so much differently. And so maybe this makes sense what I'm saying as to why we are so different, but that is kind of how I've picked up my knowledge of the differences in culture. I don't think America has a lot of culture. It is just not founded on much, I would say. It's just kind of like a blob of a bunch of different cultures and people, and it doesn't really have a foundation to say. And so I believe that the women just have a different culture, and they become less social, less interactive, and to me it makes them less interesting. I've dated 2 women in my entire life. I'm 25 years old. Comparing how many women I've dated to how many women I've slept with and actually met is a very steep contrast. And so now living in America, in Europe the last 2 months, like I said earlier, maybe 1 out of 10 women I would meet, I would actually be interested in getting to know on a deeper level. I have been on dates, hung out, I've been on dates with 3 women here so far. And every single one of them was so cool. Like, every single one of these women was so cool, so interesting, so pure. It's like pure, just friendly and nice. And the look in their eyes, it's just very, very inviting. And they have such interesting stories, instead of just being raised in the same house your whole life and living in the same gated community. These people have so much different experiences of traveling, of, different jobs, and just taking on weird things, like a weird job opportunity, and it gives them so much life experience. And European women just seem so much more free and honest, whereas American women seem so much more stuck and superficial and uninviting, just very much stuck in their own ways, how they were raised to be very just look straight ahead and don't budge your eyes to pay attention to anything else. And so it is very, very refreshing to see so many honest and genuine people here in Europe, because that's how I was also raised, and I connect to these people so much more. To set a quick example, I work out a lot, so at the gym, I honestly, if I see a beautiful woman, I'll go up to her, I'll give her a compliment. And if she is receptive to the compliment, I will continue to talk a little bit more because she seems interested. If not, I'll just give her the compliment and, I'll keep moving and maybe I'll see her again. But through doing this, through talking to so many gym women here in Europe now, even if they have a boyfriend, even if they aren't interested, they are still super, super nice in rejection. I'll go up to a woman, I'll say, hey, I just want to tell you look very, very beautiful. You're very pretty. And, a couple of times they've told me, oh, that is so sweet of you, like, thank you very much, but I do have a boyfriend, but still, thank you very much. And just that energy, you don't get that much in America. If you talk to a woman, or specifically a gym woman, a lot of times they have this ego about them, this higher than you attitude. And this is really true. I'm not just, trying to talk negative on these kinds of women in America, but it is very, very hard to even want to approach an American woman, an American gym woman, because of the way they think. I believe that they've gotten so far ahead in the social media aspect of things, and losing touch with real life and real interactions, that all they get on social media is, oh, you're so hot, you're this, and that, all these guys, and just this toxic community of social media just gassing them up, and these women lose interest in real world situations. So when you approach a gym woman in America, they just aren't very friendly. They aren't very receptive. Whether they have a boyfriend or not, whether the situation is this or that, they just kind of dismiss you right away. And I can understand dismissing someone if they approach you and you're just genuinely not interested at all. But you should still be a little kind. And that's where this last point I want to talk about comes into play. Because lately on social media, I try to stay off of it because of all the shit you see. It's just so, ugh. But lately on social media, I've seen this trend of, you know, you see a guy on the streets, he walks up to a woman and he's like, hey, you look very pretty. And then the woman will be like, don't even talk to me, get away from me. You know, that thing that happens in America a lot, like women just being like, don't talk to me, and they walk away, like very rude. And then in the video, you see some narrator saying, this is how I want my girlfriend to be. If she doesn't act like this, I don't want to date her. And I think that is such a horrible mindset to have, that men actually want their woman to be so rude, dismissive, and uninviting towards someone just giving them a compliment or trying to get to know them. Now you will say that, I don't want my woman to be friendly at all. Well, I don't want a bitch as a woman. I don't want someone who is rude, bitchy. You know, I don't like that whatsoever. I think that you should be friendly to anyone who comes up to you. You should be friendly. You have that open mindset to first be friendly. Why have an immediate reaction to be unfriendly? You know, there can be a clear line of being friendly, but also just saying, hey, thank you very much, but I do have a boyfriend, but I appreciate the gesture. It is as simple as that. I don't want my woman to be rude. That's not a quality woman to build a future with, because she may be nice to you, but if she's rude to everyone else, is that someone you really think you could structure a family around, structure morals to your children around? For me, not. And so seeing that, it was just really weird that guys actually want their women to be that rude. And quite frankly, it makes me think you're insecure if you need your woman to be so rude just for you to be sure that she won't talk to other guys. You know, as long as, you know, I would like my woman to know there's a clear line, but she can be friendly and also, you know, just have someone approach her. It doesn't need to be as hateful as how men are making it their women be nowadays. So that's my last point, and overall, I'm just very, very pleased with the interactions I've had with women in Europe. And if you're American and you're watching this, am I correct with my assessment of American women, that they're a bit superficial, a bit uncultured, a bit uninviting? Or do I just have a different perspective because I have lived in Europe, I was born there, and now I'm back? Let me know in the comments. I hope you guys appreciate this video, and take care.